Welcome back to the ND and Free podcast, brought to you by the Awareness Space Podcast Network. This is a podcast all about neurodivergence and is powered by you, the listener. We answer, discuss, and expand on your questions. Myself, Owen Morgan, and my team of co-hosts dive into all things ADHD, autism, and other neurotypes. We believe all NDers deserve to live a life free of the shame we may feel, free from the burden of trying to fit in, and free from the burnout caused from not honouring our needs. We are ND and Free. So we are back with another ND and Free podcast episode. Alongside me, Owen Morgan, I have my wonderful co-host, neurodivergent therapist and ADHD coach, Philippa Balazs, social media influencer and online ND drop-in host, Daniel Katona, and ND podcast host and support group founder and chairperson of the Wandering Minds Collective, Darren, Cammock. I'm a wellbeing coach and I have been in the wellbeing sector for 15 years, previously working as a personal trainer, massage therapist, and the host of multiple podcasts in which I've interviewed over 500 people. Before we begin, I wanted to give a shout out to this podcast partner, Chill Zones, a fidget tools website that creates subtle, stylish, and high quality fidget toys and tools. They set out to create fidget toys that stand out, combining thoughtful design with advanced technology. They crafted a range of fidgets that are not only engaging and practical, but also enjoyable to use. You can find out more at www.chillzones.co.uk. I love Chill Zones. I love what Chill Zones have to offer. I use their fidgets every day to support me. They are perfect for adult NDers who want to support themselves without any feelings of shame or being judged. You can use my code OWEN15 at checkout to save 15% on your order. Thank you, Chill Zones, for all you do. Oh my God, that's a big intro. I do love that company so much. I know the guy, one of the main guys that runs it. He's lovely and their stuff's amazing. So go and check it out, guys. Right, welcome back, team. This is very special. We are blending different panels together here for a special 2-episode special edition. And we'll see how this goes. If you enjoy it, guys, we can continue this and have a more of a group dynamic than individual panels. So let us know in the comments on Instagram and things. See what you think. So, Philippa, here you are. You're in with the boys. How are you feeling about the dynamic ahead? And I guess it's just going to be really lovely, isn't it, to share with new people, I suppose.
Yeah, it's lovely. I've listened to the shows that you guys have done and I think you're both brilliant. So I'm really happy to be here and thank you for having me.
No problem. It's fantastic. Dan, how are you, my friend? And it's been a couple of weeks, as always, between our recordings. So how's things?
Yeah, really good, thanks. These holidays, so any break in routine and structure can be quite difficult. But I've dealt a lot better during these holidays than I have previous ones. So yeah, all going good, thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. It is the Easter holidays. We're all parents, so good times. But we do our best. So Darren, yeah, Easter holidays. Your son's obviously going to be knocking around. How are you getting on?
No, well, not too bad, not too bad. I haven't seen much of outside this week as I would like. I had a week in the lakes last week.
Oh, nice.
So that was good. That will tide me over now for a few months until I can get some wildlife and nature again into me. But no, I'm doing good.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I love the lakes, as you know, Lake District, that is. It leaves an impression. It certainly does. I think it sticks with you for a little while, which is, yeah, I'm so glad to have my allotments as we talked off recording here today, which is lovely. So we are talking about neurodivergence and careers today. There's lots of topics we still need to cover. This is quite an obvious one. This was brought to us, I think, by Alice. Unfortunately, it wasn't available. Unless it was you, Philippa, was it you? Were you Alexithymia or were you the careers option?
I don't know. I think I dumped like 5 ideas on you and then just like, all of these, maybe because it's one that resonates for me really deeply. So could have been me.
Yeah, certainly. And the thing, for all of us here is, I think all at our core, we're entrepreneurial people. I don't think that's a coincidence. When it comes to neurodivergence, it seems to be something we lean into. And we've already done episodes on PDA and, wanting to, I guess, be able to control our destiny a little bit along the way and not have people tell us right or wrong in the way we work. So I'm sure that will come up today. So we'll dive straight in. Each of you can share any experience that you have with this. So if we kick off with you, Philippa, because it's your first time with us, guys. Obviously, you're a therapist, so entrepreneur at heart there. But how have you found this journey of adult life and careers?
I'm a therapist now, but I haven't always been a therapist. I have had very colourful, career path. I was actually kind of noted down all the different things I've done and all the courses that I've done. And I think I probably could have done a million different career paths in my life. I find interest in everything, and sometimes I'll randomly find a course and go, oh, I want to do that. And it will be something so unrelated, but I have to really kind of check myself and go, is that related to anything? Is that going to benefit your counselling career? Probably not. Let's invest in something, streamlining things. But yeah, so I've had careers in retail, hospitality. I was a massage therapist like you, Owen, as you know. I did that for a few years. I'm a trained Montessori teacher. I was in the performing arts. I worked in HR. I have done so many different things. And I think what I love about being a counsellor and a therapist is that none of those things are wasted. So I've managed to bring together all of my experience and knowledge into a career that works for me. I'm self-employed. I choose my hours. I'm fascinated by human behavior and how we think and feel. And so none of those things are wasted. I learned lots of things along the way. Being a massage therapist was the closest. That was the most recent thing to being a therapist. And I realized I love working for myself. It was my first taste of self-employment, fully autonomous. I loved working one-to-one with people. I love that immediate feedback of someone going, oh, I feel great. That feels so good. And that 1 hour that you spend with someone where you either they might not talk for a whole hour or they might chat to you for the whole hour, but you have some impact on someone's life. So I really love that. And then when the pandemic hit, I retrained as a counsellor, and that was my opportunity then to go and do that. And it's just works for me. It works for my need for autonomy. It works for the strong pattern recognition that I have in the way that I exist in the world. It works on that one-to-one level of knowing that I have some kind of impact in someone's life. And so all of those things combined, I feel like I finally landed in the right place career-wise, but it was a tough journey to get there. And I think when you're at school, they kind of like to look at your sort of traditional skills, or at least back in the 90s and 2000s when I was at school, it was just, let's look at your kind of traditional skill set. We can't do any of those. You're not going to be a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher, so don't bother with any of those. And I ended up working in retail for a number of years before I figured out, what am I actually interested in? What gets me excited? And after not doing very well in my GCSEs, I found my love for performing arts. And I just I love it now still. But yeah, that was where my first taste of like, I can do something and study something because I love it, not because I have to. So that's the key thing, I think, is just doing something because you really love it and you give your heart and soul to it.
Yeah, I think that's a dream for all of us to get to that point. I know we're all kind of a similar age, so it's quite interesting to see where we've all landed at this point. And the story is very similar. And for you, Dan, obviously, one-to-one, you're doing your tattooing. I'm sure, like Philip said, you probably got the chatty ones, you've got the quiet ones, you've got your own stuff. If you have mutism come up for you, so to speak, or non-verbal comes up for you, you have protocol for that as well. So do you find that, what's your been experience with careers, and how is that one-to-one experience for you?
It's really interesting that you said about people talking. Some people might talk to you loads, some people might not say anything for the whole time, but you love, sort of being able to help people, being able to be that person that people can open up to, and that is one of the best bits about being a tattooist. I'm actually wearing one of my studio tops. I think that's really show. So tattoos equal therapy. It's genuinely it's one of my most favourite bits. I know that's not sort of what we're talking about right now. I just had to mention the fact that you said about that, because again, like people will sit in the chair and they'll talk. I know so many things about so many people, and I have the philosophy that what's said in my studio stays in my studio, never leaves anywhere. And people, it's that one time you spend a lot of time with someone, they can just open up, they can talk, and it's because it's my studio, it's my business. I've got it set up exactly how works for me. So everything in there is made so that I feel relaxed and comfortable, and for my clients as well. But the more relaxed and comfortable I am, obviously, the more I can project that and clients feel comfortable as well. So yeah, I've had several different jobs, sort of employed jobs in the past, and yeah, going self-employed was one of the best things I could have done for myself. It's I think it's the thing with when people say about people with, especially with autism and ADHD, struggling with authority. I don't think it's necessary that we struggle with authority as a blanket statement. I think it's just when whoever is in that position of authority, or these these rules that come up that don't make any sense. Like, I'll happily, I thrive on rules. I thrive on rules and structure, and yeah, but they need to make sense.
That's exactly what I was just thinking when you were going. I was going to say they have to have sense. They need to make sense.
Yeah, exactly. And so in my studio, everything that I've got makes sense to me and makes sense to how I want things to run. And I think that's again the same with a lot of self-employed people. It's not that you don't like authority or you oppose authority straight away. It's just if whatever they're trying to impose doesn't make sense, then that's what you will oppose. So yeah, being self-employed has helped me massively. And like you said, I do sometimes go non-verbal, and I've got a sign in my studio right next to my bench that says I've gone non-verbal. I make it clear that obviously everyone's different with it. But if I go non-verbal, you can still talk to me, still chat away to me. I just won't be able to verbally reply, so I'll shake my head and stuff. I have made it clear that I might need to wear my headphones while I'm tattooing. I might wear my sunglasses. I might, there's loads of different things, but I'm very open and honest with my clients. And I think that's another thing as well with being self-employed, is that we can be as open as we want to be, and we can share as much as we want about ourselves. And I know that in a lot of employed work, there's sort of like it can be a bit frowned upon, sort of sharing too much of yourself, or making yourself comfortable, so that you can get on with your job. It's sort of like you have a lot, not in all jobs. I mean, this is not saying that all employed jobs, but a lot of employed jobs, you do sort of have to put your comfort aside for the sake of the company, for the sake of your clients, for the sake of the business. I think being self-employed, you can do the opposite, and you can put yourself first, which more often than not does make your client's experience a lot better.
I definitely echo that. And I think as well, being a counsellor and therapist, when you model putting yourself first and you model strong boundaries, it has a ripple effect as well. So when people are struggling with those things and you're modelling them and they see them, they're like, oh, actually, my therapist is really boundaried around X and Y. And that's okay to do that. It's okay to put that first.
So yeah, I suppose it's sort of forward leading by example, isn't it? And that's another thing with my studio. I'm just on social media over the past, well, actually, pretty much since social media became a thing, I've always been open and honest about my own mental health. And before I knew I was neurodivergent, I was still open and honest about my mental health. And now I'm open and honest about autism and ADHD. Because I've always had the belief that, it's nothing like that should be a taboo subject. It should be spoken about honestly. But how can I say to people, you should be open and honest about it, and you should talk about it, and speak openly and freely about everything, if I'm not willing to do that first? So I model that in my studio. So again, a lot of time I know if there's someone that comes in that, sometimes you can tell they may want to talk about something a bit more, and they may want to open, but they feel a bit reserved. I'll just start talking about random things to do with my life, and you see them sort of, oh okay, oh, this is one of those, and then they can start opening up and being a lot more honest. And yeah, a lot of companies, businesses, that isn't the done thing. So I think that's such an important thing about being self-employed, is being able to model the behaviours that you want your clients to experience as well.
Yeah, I think that's there's something you said there about you being able to create an environment and a way of working that is going to be suitable for your needs and things like that. I think that's probably one of the big parts of why entrepreneurship is such an appealing proposition. So it's eminent of that. But then it does come with all its other issues of trying to make enough money and the constant rumination and am I going to have enough clients? So we'll talk about that a bit later on, but it's kind of a bit of that. And for you, Darren, I know we both spent time in gyms, didn't we? We both did personal training, which I don't know. I think that probably leans itself well to maybe ADHD, especially, different clients every hour doing different regimes and different programs and going around the gym and being in a buzzing environment. But sometimes, if you don't know you're autistic as well, that's going to be very overwhelming, but you just don't know where you stand. So what's been your experience in Korea?
I think I've been to, I guess, your stereotypical ADHD with the bouncing careers. However, I've stayed, majority of it, stayed in the same industry where it's always been gym orientated. So gym instructor, personal trainer, and massage therapist, group exercise, all of that. But it's just been with different companies in different gyms, and I've moved around the country, and it's always been for a promotion, more money, a bigger gym. Nothing to do being overwhelmed with where I was and what I was doing and struggling with at all. Until I look back at it now and go, yeah, it was. But yeah, I've always sort of stayed in there, mainly because I struggled with education because I can't focus. I can't focus. I can't remember things, what I'm reading and things like that. So my education was rubbish. But when I started working out in a gym, for whatever reason, I remembered things. I can't remember your name, and your name is Bob, but I can remember these long Greek and Latin names for muscles and the origins and the surgeons and what they do, and how to decipher when someone comes in and they want to work on this part of the body, but they have this injury, and it all kind of worked for me. And that's probably why I stayed in it for so long, because that's the only thing I could do, and be confident of. So yeah, but it was it does come with those some pluses and minuses. I was always comfortable in a gym. I know now it's because with any gym I went to, I had my safe phrases. I know how to talk on the treadmill. I know how to, what I mean? It's just all those safe phrases that I repeat again and again and again and again. Because you're always talking about working out, or what can I do for this? How can I train my abs? How can I get a six pack? So it's very repetitive what I was saying, but it was comforting because then I knew what I was saying. But at the same time, it's cost me a lot of money because gyms, I'm old. So when I started working in the gyms, it was 89, 88, 89. Yeah. And not a lot of gyms around, like they are now. So every time I went to another gym, it was in a different county, so I had to move. So I moved to a lot of different counties, a lot of different houses, so a lot of renting and things like that, for a short period of time until I got overwhelmed and had to move on to a bigger gym, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's been interesting, but it is hard. It's hard work trying to fit in and get the right fit for yourself. I mean, I loved it at the time, but I did end up growing to hate it. One of the reasons why I don't do it now, because it's just got too much. Because I end up sort of managing health clubs as well, and long hours, mainly because I can't fit and do all my tasks in those set 8 hours that I was given. So I was doing 15, 16 hours a week, hours a day, sorry. And I can't do that anymore. And I was doing that for what, 10 years, I guess. Just running on empty, absolutely running on empty, and very unproductive, I guess, as well. But I had to get the work done because I don't want to let people down. And with that, you have to, well, didn't think of it at the time, but it's me being a good member of the team. I have to do my share and take one for the team and make sure that stuff gets done. But no, it's just, I don't want to let people down because I should have done that in the 8 hours. But I can't because I can't focus enough to do it back then. So yeah. But now I do something completely random, but it's for a purpose, so I do sit behind a till now, completely against everything that's the ADHD brain wants and needs. But I do that because it is mind-numbingly boring. I have no stress. I have no responsibility. And I do that so when I get home, I have something to give. Because what I was doing beforehand, I would have nothing. So, I'm married now. I've got a 10-year-old, and he's AuDHD. And all intents and purposes, I'm a stay-at-home dad and I work part-time. But I couldn't, even part-time, I couldn't do what I used to do because I'd have nothing to give at home. And that's unacceptable. So that's why.
Absolutely amazing, though, the fact that you've done it like that. Sorry to cut in. I was just going to say that's absolutely amazing. Like you said, going against the ADHD brain and going like literally complete opposite way to how most ADHDers would go, and going, but no, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this mind-numbing, boring, monotonous thing so that I can give my time and energy to what's important. And I just think that's, do you know what? It's something that I don't even think a lot of ADHDers would even consider doing because I think it's very hard to sit there and think, oh, well, if I do this in this area of my life, then it makes it easier. We sort of go, yeah, but I need to be engaged here. But then I'm engaged here and I can't give my time and energy here. We don't think of altering this side of things. So I just wanted to sort of butt in and just say, I think that's amazing that you did manage to come to that sort of realization, that clarification in your head, and do what you felt was best for you and your family. So I really admire that.
Thank you. Yeah, it has to be done because I couldn't function doing what I was doing before. It was just so much, and I was doing so many hours purely because I just couldn't get the work done. I remember driving home one day and I was talking to someone on the phone and she's like, you sound drunk. No, I don't drink. I've never drunk, But I was so exhausted. I was slurring my words. And it was just, nothing was happening. It was blank. I'd go to work. I would just sit and just stare at the piece of paper or whatever. And it's like, I've got nothing. Then get home, and then I used to just lie in bed and just eat a lot of chocolate, just to have something that was good, that gave me some sort of buzz, and then fall asleep and do it all again. That's the hole I don't want to go back into. So
yeah, I can really identify with that feeling. I mean, I'm not late diagnosed, but because of the sort of lack of language and knowledge around neurodiversity that we have now, I spent much of my kind of formative career years not really understanding my ADHD and autism and pushing myself into roles because that's what people did. And I was like, oh, well, commuting into London every day, and working, in the city or working in town, that's what people do. And you should be able to get up at 6 o'clock and get on a train at 7 a.m. and be there at 8 and ready to go with coffee in hand and all of that. And then I would do 6 months or a year, and I would burn out. And I didn't know that it was burnout. I would just go off on sick leave. I just couldn't function. And I didn't know what that was because there just wasn't the understanding and the language around it. So yeah, really, really relates to that feeling of just kind of it almost feels slightly like a dissociation when it just gets so much that you kind of almost slightly disconnect from yourself and you're kind of just existing, but you don't really feel anything. It's kind of numbing. And now I know what that is. I think, oh God, I'd never go back to that ever. Not in a million years. Just couldn't do it. But yeah, and sadly there are still so many people who kind of think that is what they have to do. Hopefully this is changing. I think there's more awareness now actually around burnout and not, if you're in the wrong environment and you're neurodivergent, that you're never going to make that work. You know, eventually it will just collapse because it just can't work. But kind of catching that early enough so that people don't have to enter that horrible stage of burnout where they can't function. Yeah. So important.
It's hard because you kind of, everything that you're asked to do, you can do. It's well within your, capabilities of doing. But for whatever reason, it's just, you can't see the wood for the trees, You stare at the screen, and you're like, I see it, but it's not happening. I just can't. But I'm not there now, so which is good.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I think there's something that's come up a few times there. We talk about push, 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 and then burnout. But I think there's a lot of frustration too. A lot of the groups I sort of little feeds I'm in and stuff, Instagram feeds. There's so many people looking for work. I'm in this particular group. Probably about 20% of them are actually working. The rest of them are like, oh, I got this interview, and everyone's like you can do it, and it's really lovely. But it's just so devastating. So often they're rejected, or they've done something in the interview which they feel, oh God, I must have come off like this. And it's just so frustrating because we've got so much to give. We're all intelligent people, and we want to do something meaningful, purposeful, so that we can come home from and say, oh, I'm proud of myself, I've done that. I just think that frustration is a big part of it all as well. That we know we can do more, but it's not our fault. We were born with this brain or nervous system, or whatever you want to say, and it's really holding us back. And it can be really, really, really rough. And without compassion, it can spiral, hit your confidence, and you might make bad choices, get into debt, and then you need even more money to get you out of debt, and you have to do more hours, and you get stuck in this burnout loop. And the world's not set up generally well for anybody, let alone neurodivergence. So Dan, how do you find that? When you come home from tattooing stuff, how do you feel okay? Do you feel vitalized? Have you managed to find like a good energy capacity structure for yourself? Do you feel okay? Because you've got to be a dad as well,
So tattooing is one of the most draining jobs I've ever done. I've had a few different jobs, and it's one of the most mentally draining jobs I've ever done. There's a lot that goes on with it. Just to do a small, simple tattoo, you've got 1,000,001 processes going through your head. Without getting too much into the ins and outs, you've got the needle depth, how quick the machine's running, how quick you're moving your hand, how much you're stretching the skin. Are you going too deep? Are you going too shallow? Are you moving too quick? Are you moving too slow? Is your client going to move? Is your client's body in the right position? Are you in the right position? And then on top of that, you've got your client's skin type, his skin texture and stuff. But then you've got, obviously, because of being autistic and being able to pick up on all these tiniest little changes, so the temperature slightly drops. It's ever so slightly brighter than it usually is. I can hear some ticking from the clock in the room next to me. There's a song on, but it's not on my playlist because my colleague's in or something. So I need to know, make sure I put my playlist on because I need music on in the background, but it has to be music that I'm expecting. So I have to have my playlist that I know the songs that are going to come on. And then on top of that, you've got to try and maintain the conversation with your client while you're doing all of this. You try and have a bit of back and forth and check. You've got to check they're okay. You've got to check that that they're feeling physically. There's a lot to it. So it's so draining. So it's not a physically demanding job. It's a very mentally demanding job. But as I said, it's also a very rewarding job. Whether I'm doing a tattoo that's really meaningful, really personal for someone, or whether I'm doing something that's just because they like the design. I do a lot of cover-ups as well, so I specialise in cover-ups. So I a lot of time get rid of a tattoo that someone's hated for a very long time, and then seeing them not only leave with something they love, but they've got rid of something they've hated for a long time. And I don't know if we need to do trigger warnings on this, but something if we do, there's a bit of a trigger warning here. So some of the other stuff that I cover up, which I've done for free a lot of time and do at discount right now, there's a lot of self-harm scar cover-ups. So people that have again lived through some horrific times in their life, and that is a constant reminder of that horrible time in their life, and we will cover those up with, every time they look down, they can see something, their path forward rather than their past. So as much as it is a draining job and it's tiring, and I liken it to if you've been driving for hours and hours and hours on end, and then you get to wherever you go into, and you just can't be like, your body's got energy, but mentally you don't. That's sort of what it's like. But that knowing that I have made a difference to someone's life, whether again they just get a tattoo because I had a bit of extra money and I like the design, or whether it's something really personal and meaningful, that sort of counteracts the tiredness and the fatigue that I get. I honestly do believe I've got the best job in the world. There's not many jobs you get to sit down, draw on people, call it art in your own environment and get paid for it. Very basic understanding of what I do, but I don't do my bigger sessions during the week. So obviously I have my son during the week, so I'll do the school runs, take him to school, then I'll go to work. I'll do up to sort of 3 hours of tattooing, so then I can still get back, have a bit of downtime before picking him up from school, so that I've still got some energy. And then Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays is when I'm doing my bigger sessions, because I can go home and be really tired and really mentally drained because he's at his mum's. So I've put that in place so that I can. Again, there's another perk of being self-employed, isn't it? You sort of pick and choose your own hours. Now, obviously, luckily with my job, weekends tend to be busier anyway when both doing for work. So, so it's right there. So yeah, I've worked it around him, which does help. But I think the flip side of that is it sort of leaves no time for anything else. As you said, I'm a dad, so school run, go to work for a few hours, come back, a bit of downtime, pick him up, then it's us till the evening, and then obviously the evening, try and I've got to get back to work, messages, I've got house admin and everything else. And then weekends, working loads, and I'm really drained in the evening, so it doesn't really leave time for sort of social life and all of that sort of stuff as well, which I think is one of the downsides of being self-employed, because you have to put those hours in. If you don't put those hours in, or if you're not available for those hours, you don't get paid. And we don't get holiday pay, we don't get sick pay. So that sort of brings us back to what you sort of briefly mentioned earlier, Owen, about sort of am I going to have enough money, and am I going to get the clients and stuff? So it does make that a bit more difficult, but I still think overall I wouldn't change it. I don't think I could ever go back to being in an employed position as my main full-time job.
Yeah, thank you, mate. I think it's because I've been self-employed for years and working for the man, but we don't go into the pros and cons of it all. This isn't a full-blown careers podcast theme thing, but I think there's something about going home and not taking it with you. So Darren, you talked about that. You don't take your job home with you. I don't take Sainsbury's home with me. I did recently, and that was very, very powerful. The reason was interesting. So that's amazing. But then at the same time, you don't get the same fulfillment. You don't get the same meaning and the same, oh God, I did something really beautiful today, and I feel like my soul has been hugged, I guess. But when you're parents and there's lots going on, it's tricky. And I think we don't really need our questions that we've got on the list here today. We're kind of covering them as we go. But because then I was thinking about the other day, see what all your faces do when I say the sentence, the importance of the special interest part of the work that we do in careers. How important is it to have the special interest in it? Do we need it at all? So for like me and Darren, for example, do we have a special interest in the products in our store? Maybe. Does it set us on fire? Probably not. But what I've managed to do with my job is I've injected special interest into it based on the environment I'm able to do other things. I'll talk about that afterwards. I'm trying to think who hasn't spoken recently. If we go to you, Darren, do you think, we were both into fitness and the body, and I think it's easier to learn about things that you love. I found the body fascinating. Therefore, it was quite easy to retain information because I just loved it. But if I had to learn about something else, it wouldn't go in, especially in school. So do you think special interest has a part to play in this? I know for you and me, it kind of feels like it doesn't, but I don't know. I think it's quite important probably on some level.
I think it helps. I don't think it's the be all and end all. I don't think if you have a special interest, then it's all going to click. But I think it absolutely does help. I mean, with the fitness side of things, because I was working out as well, and I was living it, and I was reading it, and I was exercising those muscles that I was, trying to remember it. So everything just worked really well. And because I couldn't remember anything else, I was so focused on what I was doing and loved the fact that I could remember the muscles. I could remember the programs I gave to people. Can't remember their names, but I remember everything else. And I was just so happy with the fact that I could remember things in that environment doing this subject. So I was really, really focused. But I'm also a photographer now. And before I got my meds and sort of diagnosed a few years ago, as much as that is a big focus for me, and I absolutely love it, I couldn't read a photography magazine or book, or it wasn't staying in. As much as I really wanted to, it was not staying in. So it was just a case of me playing with the camera and just letting it that way rather than reading a book, and the best ways to do things and all that, because that wasn't working for me like it did with the fitness. But yeah, having an interest in it helps you want to go back to it, helps you focus with it, helps you enjoy it. So it is a big thing.
I just think, I don't know about you guys, me and my partner, because we haven't quite found my special interests are in this space. It's in the neurodivergent entrepreneurial space. Sorry. And also I've been podcasting for 10 years. It never goes. It goes away from it and it comes back. I need to stop trying to pretend that it doesn't matter and it's not important to me, because it just comes back. So just keep doing it. And I'm like, how can I monetize it? So you spend all your time, monetize this, monetize that. It's just like, it just wipes you out and it ruins it, because you're trying to, do you have to monetize everything that you enjoy? In our brain, yes, but we really don't. We can just do it because of what it is. And for you, Philippa, obviously, I don't know. Do you think therapists, it's like a special interest? I don't know, helping people with special interest, or is it the feeling, the meaningfulness and the purpose of being the therapist that's key there? Maybe have special interest elsewhere. Do you think it's important to have the difference between passion and a really intense special interest? Because if I'm watching Gardener's World, for example, that me and my partner are watching, not that we're trying to pick out all neurodivergent people that we see in these shows, but you kind of lean into it. And at work, we talk about this. I don't know if this is appropriate. I might have to cut it out. But in the 90s, they used to talk a lot about gaydar. You'd be able to spot, a lot of women say they had the gaydar, they could tell. And I feel like I have NDDAR. So I'm able to, I can see it through love and compassion. I feel it in the nervous system.
Doesn't quite sound the
they're
same,
one of my
does it?
people. They're one of my people. I love them so much. And it's really, really special. Spidey senses, yeah. And on Gardener's World, you meet people who run an entire nursery farm based on, like the other day, loads of different kinds of apples, and they spent their whole life, and they just love apples so much, and they love breeding them. It's so beautiful to watch. They're so happy, they're so content. They do it for 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and it's their joy, it's their passion. It makes me want to cry. It's so beautiful. And I have a feeling that the neurodivergent just separate to that, and I'm just so happy for them. It's really special, and I just wonder, to feel that feeling must be very, very lovely. So anyway, I said way too much there in one sentence, but Philippa, is it important for a therapist to have a special interest in therapy work?
Well, I don't know about other therapists, whether they have that same level of interest. So a non-autistic or non-ADHD therapist might see it more as a job or something that they have some interest in, but it is a job. And it is a job for me, but it's so much more than that. My special interest is human behavior, and I find that everywhere I look, which is why I could end up in 50 million different types of jobs, because wherever there are people, I will have my special interest. It's there. I just find it fascinating. So what was your question? Sorry, Owen, because I could go off on a tangent, but I want to remain focused on what you asked me.
I was going all over the place. I talk about Ghana's World, that came out of nowhere. But just important special interest, really, because I mean, there are two ways to go about life, right? So have your special interests outside of work and find a way, like me and Darren have done, is to find a work that is safe, psychologically safe, it's comfortable, meets your needs, so you can go home and focus on your special interests. Darren, photography, me with podcasting or gardening, and I think that's really beautiful. So do you think basically the answer to probably this is it can be either or, it just depends on the person, Andy or otherwise? What do you
I think, well, my special interests can change. I kind of think of my special interests as being like micro and macro special interests. So I've got the macro ones, which are always there, that never disappear. And that's the psychology, human behavior stuff. And then micro ones are the ones that I can pick up and drop quite quickly and will probably never revisit. So I could spend 6 months deep diving into skincare brands and skincare and all of this stuff and work in that and be really interested. And one day I'll just be done. I'll just wake up and go, nope, I'm done. There's nothing left in that. I've drilled and dug and I've got all my minerals out and there's nothing left in that hole to dig, and I'll move on to something else. So I sort of see them like that. And because counseling and therapy is, and now coaching is part of that macro special interest that I've always had. And partly I think it is because one of the things about my neurodivergence is pattern recognition. I never get bored of that. I never get bored of joining dots or helping someone else make links and connections to things. That really excites me. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense about the kind of different levels of special interests and how it can be so easy for me to then trip on the micro ones and end up going down a rabbit hole and thinking, oh, no, that's my new career now. And then I've done that before and gone, oh no, it's not my new career actually, because I exhausted it quite quickly and it didn't tick enough of those human behavior type boxes.
Yeah, I think you're so right, because there's different versions of it. Some things stay, some things go, which I think is a really important thing too. Is it's not so broad like that. And I know, Dan, for you, you've always mentioned how neurodivergence is a special interest for you. You're fascinated by it all, which is why you've been doing these amazing TikTok lives over the last 6 months or so, and it's been incredible. And you're on there for hours and bringing all these people together, and it's so beautiful watching you do your thing. And obviously, you've got your Discord group stuff happening over there, which is amazing. I know you said it's your special interest. Is it something you would want to monetize, or is it literally just a special interest which is so beautiful and that's enough? Does that make sense? I never asked you really if it's something you would want to become some sort of money-making exercise.
So I was earning a bit of money through TikTok lives anyway, through the gift system and stuff like that. It's massive, neurodivergence become a massive special interest for me. And again, sort of like you said, forming communities, bringing people together. It's not really like sort of support group, especially on the Discord. We've got quite a few of my followers from TikTok are in my Discord server now. But it's a nice little community hub. Like, we can hold live sessions, like video calls or just phone calls on there. People, but they don't need me to be the host on it now, which is awesome. Through Discord, they can just do it themselves. Got people like my phone's going off right now because people are having general conversations and people are asking for help and things. We've got loads of different channels in there. I think for me, with anything like if I can earn money off something, awesome. But it isn't the main goal for me with neurodivergence, with having my TikTok and my Discord and doing these podcasts and putting out information and my own experience. So I always sort of use the disclaimer that I'm not qualified in anything other than being autistic and ADHD. So I'm literally just talking from my experience and the research that I've done. But yeah, I think if it could be sort of like side hustle, extra money coming in, amazing. I'm not going to turn down more money coming in, especially again being self-employed. But that's not really the end goal or the big focus for me. The main focus for me is providing space for spaces for people to come together to build up a good, strong community of like-minded people. So that my big thing is throughout most of our lives, we've all felt alone. At least in some point in our life, we felt alone. We felt like the weird one, the one that was misunderstood, the one that didn't have anyone else who could understand what they were going through or how they were feeling, what they were thinking. And so I've managed to create spaces on TikTok and on Discord for people like that. And that's better than any sort of monetary gains that I could get for it, because that's helping people in the real world. And like I said, I've got the best job in the world. Personally, I think it's the best job in the world anyway. So even if I was earning money through doing stuff for the neurodivergent community, I wouldn't quit my job. I wouldn't do it as my main job. But I also sort of liken it to cooking. I love cooking. I love being in the kitchen. I will spend 3 days to cook every individual component and to create like the perfect dish. And we've actually got a cooking channel on the Discord as well to share recipes and stuff as well. And I love cooking. So much enjoyment and passion from cooking, and then seeing people enjoy the food that I've cooked. I would never become a chef. I would never go and work in a kitchen. I would never become a chef, because if it became my career, it became what I ended up having to do for 8, 10, 12 hours a day, I would lose that passion for it, and I'd lose that desire and that enjoyment. I would lose the thing of, I can't really give people my recipes, because I change them each time I cook the same dish. I'll change it because it depends how I feel that day, and what I think will go with what that day, and my mood will impact how I taste things, and seeing people, cooking with my son, I love getting him involved. So I fear I'd lose that passion if I became a chef or worked in the kitchen or did something with food professionally. And I fear that would be the same for what I've been doing with in the ND community and for ND spaces of neurodivergent people. I really think if it became a main source of income, that I would lose the passion and the desire and that drive to have those spaces and to help those people. And then it would just be more about how can I get more money out of these people, and that is not what I want to be doing at all. So yeah, like I said, a passive income, awesome. On TikTok, people can send you gifts when you go live. People do that. I'm very grateful when people do that. But yeah, I don't think I'd want to do it as a main source of income.
Yeah, I had that with the fitness. I was so passionate about doing what I was doing and so engrossed. My life was what I was doing. But now I left because of a stay-at-home dad. But I just don't want it. I have so little interest in even thinking about fitness. I know I have to, be a bit more active than I am now, but it's just I don't like it anymore because of all the pressure and everything that went with it. It just stopped being fun, it stopped being enjoyable.
And you saying about that reminds me of something you said earlier, Owen, about sort of separating the work and home life dynamic. And so with my job, at one point I didn't want to do it anymore because I brought my work home. I was sort of spent ages at home doing design work, and I was replying to messages when I could have been playing with my son. And at any point, it's like as soon as my phone goes off, I have to reply straight away because that could be a client. If I don't answer, they've messaged multiple people, then they could go to whoever they've messaged for, and all of that sort of stuff. And then it was sort of redesigning this and getting these designs and then putting out. And I became so miserable with it, and it did then just become a job rather than a passion. And so I stopped bringing my work home. I'll still reply to messages, but I'll reply to messages when I reply to them. Like if they have to wait 24 hours, I've got to wait. I prioritize home life here to the point I don't even really, if I'm on the odd occasion I do get to socialize, I don't even really talk to people about tattooing in my personal life. Like if I'm out for a walk with friends or pop down the pub or something like that, I'm just like, guys, just message my studio page. We're sort of during like when I'm got my business head on, and that really helped me regain my passion for tattooing. And again, I think that's why I wouldn't want to heavily monetize anything within the indie space that I'm doing, because again, I feel like you sort of wouldn't be able to get away from it, and then you'd lose that passion. But also, like again, if I went into something 9 till 5 or whatever hours throughout the week, a lot of these people I have in my Discord and on TikTok are parents. They're sort of ND parents to ND children, and so a lot of the time they're 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. That's when they're free. That's when they've got a bit of their time. Especially since a lot of us do that thing where we don't. I could go. Okay, kids are in bed. I could go to bed now, but no, I need a bit of me time, even if it's 12 o'clock. If it's midnight, I need some me time. I haven't had some me time, so I need me time now, and that's where a lot of them access these platforms as well. And if I'm then saying, no, guys, stop, we're not going live. Can you stop using the Discord because I keep getting notifications like you only use it between these hours. That literally goes directly against what I'm trying to build here. So whereas now I can, if I'm sat there and my phone starts buzzing at 9:30 at night because everyone's having a conversation on Discord, it's like, oh, cool, wicked. I'm sitting here watching a bit of TV. Let's get involved in this. Let's host a last minute ND drop in session for people, because I want to, because I still have that, and I just don't think I'd have that again. So sorry, Dan. That was just again links to what you were saying and what you were saying, Owen, about with taking work home and passion and stuff like that. So. As usual, a very, very, very long-winded answer for a very simple question, but that's what we do.
No, absolutely fine. I think us sharing our stories can really resonate with people. That's the whole point. They're going to hear themselves in us. And I think, as we sort of come towards the end of the episode, it's really important to acknowledge that a lot of the things that we're talking about, neurotypical people are going to have the same issues. A lot of it goes back and forth. The only thing I would say when it comes to the neurodivergent side of it is that it's heightened. It feels a lot harder, to be honest. And it's not about who's winning or losing the competition of struggle, but it's really important to acknowledge that too. And, a kind of nice way to think about this as we close up is how stuck we can become in our abilities. So we feel like we can't do this, it'll be too much. So then we get really stuck in positions. We can't go for promotions. We keep changing our business model, trying to make it work. It doesn't work. We get really depressed about that. We get really low. We get really anxious. Go into work for a bit, struggle, quit, go back to entrepreneurship. In that time, you're getting money problems. So it's really serious stuff, and it can be really, really hard. And I just think, how can we meet our own needs and the money that we need and actually enjoy it? It's quite a hard triangle to actually achieve, especially as a parent. Look, I work at night. One of the worst things you can do for an ADHD brain, as they say, is to work at night. Your brain barely sort of resets itself sleeping, because my sleeping's a bit crap anyway. So not only is my sleep already poor, I'm now working at night and sleeping in the day when my brain is definitely not going to wash itself out and process the day it's going through. Now, to be like really transparent here, the problem I've got is I feel very stuck. If I move on to the daytime, number one, I'm going to lose nighttime premium. So I'm going to have to try and get some sort of higher position. I I struggle a lot with pressure like that, stress. I've tried it before. I find it really hard, and it just burns me out running teams and all that kind of stuff. So I'd lose money. I'd also be around customers all day. I don't think I can do that. I couldn't work in a supermarket in the daytime for 6 or 7 hours with all that noise and the radio and the tannoy announcements. So I'm now, the easy thing is to move on to daytimes, right? That's so easy. It's an easy move. I don't even have to get a new job and meet new people. Incredible. But I'd have to be downstairs somewhere in the warehouse. So I'd have to try and wait for that. But the point is, the problem with the night shift for me is I've managed to sculpt the position that didn't exist through my sheer entrepreneur and creative sparks to create something that really fits other needs. So am I willing to sacrifice the quality of sleep for the fact that I'm mostly by myself? People pop in to grab stuff that I've sort of set up for them. 5 minute chat. Ah, perfect. Little chat. And they go off. I don't see them for 45 minutes. They'll be back in a little chat. Headphones in all night. Listen to wrestling review podcasts. Listen to movie podcasts. Listen to music. I can put a house on. This role I can sing. I can dance if I want. People just coming in and out. It's the dream. It's perfect for my ND. It means I can stay social, but have all that free time. It's a very physical job. It means I'm staying fit. I'm staying healthy. But in that time, my brain is slowly dying from sleep deprivation. I feel very stuck. I don't know what to do. I don't want to go for promotion. I can't move to the day. It's less money. The point I'm saying this is people are going to hopefully resonate at home is that even when you do get the bloody job, you're not earning enough. And how do you earn more? Do you have side hustle? You burn out. You're off sick. So I just really want to say this is serious stuff. And it's really, really hard when we have all these sensory issues as well and these needs to meet and being around people. So yeah, what are your thoughts there, Philippa? If I was sat down with your client here, no free therapy, but it just shows, doesn't it, how stuck and frustrating it can all be when we're doing the right thing and it still doesn't meet our needs. It seems very unfair, and it's important to say it.
Yeah, well, it's a systems thing, isn't it? I think as individuals, we can turn it in on ourselves and go, I'm not doing enough. I'm not trying hard enough. I need to work harder. I need to do more. But actually, there are so many systems around us that just don't work as they should, and don't benefit neurodivergence. I think often we are the ones that get flushed out of the systems because they don't complement our way of being, our way of existing, our way of thriving. And even though I'm self-employed now and I love what I do, there's a cap on what I can earn as a therapist. I can't earn unlimited amount of income. I mean, people look at an hourly rate and they think, oh gosh, that's really expensive, but they don't know the back end stuff that goes in that as well. Website costs, supervision costs, CPD training. When you break it down, I think I actually only keep something like 35% of my hourly rate. And like Dan pointed out, we don't get sick pay, we don't get holiday pay. And when you look at that over the course of a year, when you look at your tax return, it's actually not even a sustainable income, really. For a lot of people, a lot of therapists and coaches find the kind of financial stuff at the moment really, really tough. And I could take on another job to top up that income, but I would have nothing left. I would have no capacity. I would not be present for my family. I would find that really, really hard. So I have to balance that out and think, okay, what's the threshold for me where I would maybe need to go and get a second job or diversify, and I now I've got coaching, I can diversify my income and my clientele slightly. And that is one of the brilliant things about what I do, is that I can do that. But not everyone can. And it's really, really hard. I have lots of clients who find the employment stuff the biggest challenge. And I don't have the answers for it as a therapist. I don't. Like I said, it is a systems issue. It's really, really hard.
Yeah, I think the structure isn't set up for many conditions as well. Just to check your own conditions, full stop, and mental health stuff as well. A lot of people on night shift are struggling with various mental health, anxiety disorders, bipolar, things like that. It's a very beautiful team, really beautiful beings that are just been through a lot. So that's quite special. But I just think it's very important to acknowledge, that we're not here to give any answers here today, but it's really complicated, and the cost of living is insane. It's not a political show. It's absolutely obscene. I live in a big city, the second richest city in the UK. that's a choice, I guess. I should move away. But then moving, stressful, blah, blah, blah. But we know what our limits and our capacity is. And I think that can be a big blocker there. But as we kind of wrap up the show, it'd be really lovely if each of you could share like a message of hope about around this, like a little coaching call out, I suppose, as well. Like, you got this. But it'd be really lovely to end on a real high and just to say that all of us have found our way. We know we all have somewhere to live. We all have beautiful children, and we're all hopefully doing the best as parents, and we're bringing the money that we need to feed them and to feed ourselves and do what we love. So, it's not perfect, but we found a way. And I think we should be proud of that. So, Darren, what would be your sort of, you got this, you know what I mean, message of hope?
I think for everybody, knowledge is key. I think all the things what I was talking about beforehand is before I knew anything about neurodivergence and what I was going through, what was actually happening. Knowledge is key. So, if you are neurodivergent or you suspect you are, do some studying, do some research, get to know yourself. And once you get to know yourself and what's going on, you can start putting things into place. You got whatever systems are going to help you. You can ask the right questions when it comes to being at work. You can ask for, if you need, that is, some adjustments at work to help you. But it's all about, it's about what you need, and also about what a reasonable adjustment is when in your type of work as well. But once you know yourself better, that understanding is going to lead you down a better path and enable you to manage what you're going through and your work and your environment so much better. And that will make your life a lot easier. I truly believe that, because I did that before I knew anything. I was not in a good place, and literally, yes, meds help, fantastic, but the knowledge of ADHD and the systems you can put in place to help with focus, to help with memory, and all that, and the burnout and everything. Knowing that has made the biggest impact on my life, at home and at work.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's so important. If you're not even aware of what you're going through, I think that's why our career paths may look like the way they look until you actually know. It's a big part of self-exploration. It's a big part of trying to find the right work for us. So yeah, think Darren, what would be your message of hope?
Really interesting, actually. Had you asked me this at the beginning of the episode, my answer would be so different to what it is now. I would have said something like, anything that you've got a passion for, anything that you has a special interest, or anything that really grips you, there's going to be something up there that and gone on that sort of route. But now, actually, my answer would be completely different, and it's actually thanks to what Darren said earlier that I picked up on, because I think, again, sort of that black and white thinking. I've always been so sort of so set on if you don't like what you do, you see if there is something that is more aligned to your passion. But actually, with Darren saying that he's gone into something that is the complete opposite to what everyone's doing, that sort of there's something that he said is mind-numbing, boring, and just monotonous, and it doesn't engage his ADHD brain at all. I actually think that is such an important message, because you don't have to go into something that works with your ADHD brain and that is a special interest that's going to flood you with that dopamine. Because actually, if you do go the opposite way, you then have that energy and that brain power to put into other things that are important, whether that be if you've got a family, whether it is a hobby or an interest that you actually, okay, I've been working, I've earned the money, I've done what I need to do, but now I can really focus on X, Y, and Z. And I think that is such an important thing for people to realise, that while work, is an important part of life for a lot of people, and people need money So anyone who obviously is able to work, because obviously, fortunately, there's some people that aren't able to work, anyone who is able to work, thinking, don't be so hard on yourself if you can't find a job that doesn't align with a special interest, doesn't align with a passion, because you can go and do something that's the complete opposite, that gets the money in, that pays the bills, and then you've got all of your energy to go and put towards something that really does mean a lot to you. And I personally think that's beautiful.
Yeah, a means to an end is still valid for us. If I was single and I didn't have children, it would be completely different to. I wouldn't be working where I'm working now. I probably might be doing something different, but I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. But it is a means to an end.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I think just filling your life with things that you love doesn't mean that every element is just a mind-blowing, dopamine rich, just incredible, passionate thing. It can. Life is on a spectrum as well as our own minds. And I just think, anyway, I'm not doing my speech yet. So, Philippa, what is your message of hope?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Darren and Dan, and I think means to an end, is a really useful phrase to kind of hold in mind. I'll just share really quickly. When I was in my final year of my counselling training, finances were a bit tight, and I did have to go and get a job, and it was working evenings in retail. But I thought, right, what's my interest? I love skincare, so let me find a job working with skincare. Let me tailor it slightly, even though wasn't what I wanted to be doing. I managed to make it work for me. I created a system that worked. So I did evening shifts where it was really quiet and I was the only one there. I didn't really have to talk to anybody. I controlled the music that was playing. It's pretty, apart from at Christmas, which is obviously a very busy time of year, I was able to modify my environment enough within what I had control over to make it work, so that I was able to earn that extra income at that time when I needed to. And if I had to do it again, I would. And I know I can play to my strengths. I can play to those micro special interests if I have to. So I get it. I know that some people are in really tough spots with jobs and employment. They're trapped in jobs they hate, with bosses they hate. But if you can't leave your job and you're finding it really hard, is to just zoom in on those tiny areas where you have autonomy. What can you control within that to make it work for you? I think that would be my message of hope.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think, this has been my year of radical acceptance. I've been working on this year, just been really honest and stop fighting what is, because it just creates suffering in the end. I think my final thoughts here is that all you can do is advocate for your needs. And ideally, the place you're employed would do that, right? They're going to honor your needs, right? Surely. They can have some great protocol to have access to work and to help you out and maybe arrange your hours so they're slightly shorter. Of course, that'd be great. Let's be honest, at least half of employees will not be doing that. So you can only advocate for yourself, or at least find some champions inside the business that are like you or experience the same things that can champion with you. It's not easy, and sometimes we might be shy or reserved, and we can't do that. But I think if we can maybe find somewhere else that is known for being good at that. Not easy. Got to get through the interview. So I'm just being really raw and honest here. It's not easy. But all you're left with really is to understand your needs and how can you best do that. And all three of you have kind of said something that taps into that anyway. And I think the most important thing is we've got money coming in. If we can do it in the least stressful and the least impactful way possible, I guess that's the goal for NDers, really. It doesn't sound that exciting, but it's very powerful. And I think just fill your life with the things that you love and enjoy that make you feel fantastic outside of work. And hopefully that will give you enough of a nervous system regulation to do your shift. And even if you have to do 3 part-time jobs, I've always thought about this, if you really struggle with full-time work and long hours, get 3 part-time jobs. The tax man will love you for it, of course. He will take big chunks. But you see what I mean? You can control it that way, maybe. Yeah. It could just be different little things. And like you said, Philippa, just this micro part of it as well is that I've had 5 days off and I'm feeling fantastic right now. Oh, this is how you're supposed to feel. Oh, this is great. My brain works. Now I'm not sleep deprived. I'm excited to go in tonight, not because of the job and the fact that I lift a box off a roller and I go, that's sausages, I put that there. I'm doing this voice for some reason. And I pick up my yogurt and I put it on the yogurt roller. People come and go, how do you do this for 8 hours, 5 nights a week? I'm like, I don't know, really. I quite like organizing things. I like sorting things. I like tidying. I love it. I'm fascinated by making things look straight and neat and tidy. So I found something very boring and turned it into this art piece. That looks great. The stack on that's great. But most importantly, I'm excited to listen to all my podcasts. That I can't wait to hear all the stuff on those. So I'm going to work. I'm excited to listen to my media. I don't give a shit about the job. See what I mean? So I've found a clever hack there, and I love the people. So cheesy as it is, it's very powerful. So very long-winded. My message is know what your needs are. Hopefully people will champion you and meet those needs. And if not, you're the only one that can do it, however it looks. Just you're important, you matter, what you need, your values are important. Figure out what your needs are and be your own champion. And hopefully you'll get there. So lovely positive finish to all of this. But sadly, because we no longer do quizzes, guys, as you know, we'll never know if Philippa is more knowledgeable than Darren. No. So, yes, sad times.
I think we know. I think we know.
Oh, mate.
Yeah, Philippa, Darren's record isn't, ideal. So maybe that's probably a good thing. But no, I do love quizzes.
Age doesn't mean knowledge. All I can say.
Yeah, knowing when a song came out or a wrestler's move isn't really something that is going to enrich your life, I guess. So that's fine. But if you do like quizzes, head over to my other podcast, Top 8 Movies, where we do movie quizzes at the end of every episode. So cheeky plug. So thank you so much. I really love this. I can see that when there's 4 of us, it's going to take a lot more. So I think we've given the audience even more than they've ever had before. So that feels very, very special. So before we go, let's find out where we can find you all. So Philippa, where are we going to go to find you online and what are you offering?
Yeah, so I now have finished my ADHD coaching, so I will be adding that in as well. So I'm a therapist and an ADHD coach. You can find me at flourishwithphilippa.com. That's my website, and Flourish at Flourish with never say it at Flourish with Philippa on Instagram. I've taken out the underscores now, guys, because I couldn't say it, so I've removed it.
Down those underscores. Obviously, I'll put links in the description, but I just enjoy hearing you guys trying to say your tagline, your tag. So it's perfect. Darren, where can we find you and what are you up to? You've got so much going on and everything's growing so fast. What are you doing?
Me and ADHD podcast on Instagram and on TikTok. But my main focus really at the moment is the Wandering Minds Collective, which is the Oxfordshire-based ADHD peer-to-peer support group, which is now just turned into a charity, which is lovely, for the Oxfordshire ADHD community, basically. So that is on Facebook. The Wandering Minds Collective. So if you're in Oxfordshire and you're going through an ADHD journey yourself, come and say hi.
Lovely. And as we said, it's only a matter of time till you go global. So every city will have your franchise. So just put it out there into the universe. So it's all good. Dan, where can we find you? I know you do a lot of Discord stuff now, so we will pop the Discord link in the description. I forgot last time, sorry. We'll put that in the show notes.
With the Discord link, turns out an invite link is only valid for a month. So, people will have to click it within a month of when you
I can update it.
Oh, no, a month of when I send it to you, actually. So, so we can update it just to let you know. Which I only found out the other day because I was like, well, the link's not working. But yes, anyway, I am on TikTok. So AuDHD underscore, because AuDHD was already taken. So it's AUDHDAN underscore. And yeah, I post a lot of content just explaining experiences from autistic and ADHD perspectives. And yeah, I've got my Discord server as well. So if anyone does want to join that, follow me on TikTok and then drop me a message. I will send you the invite to that as well. Same for you guys as well. You guys are on Discord. Jump in and promote your stuff later.
Yeah, amazing. I really encourage that. Encourage people to surround themselves by. We're talking about championing yourself, but you can champion by your community online. So if you can find groups for yourself, then it's well
So, do
well.
you mind if I just explain? I've just realised as well. Some people might not know what Discord is. So, if I just
Yeah.
very briefly explain, so it's just it's called a server. So, mine is called D&D Drop-In, and basically it's got loads of different sort of text-based channels. It's got loads of different categories. So you've got one that's just general chat. Just, pop in. Hey guys, how's your day going? You've got community questions, which is more targeted questions, to help to ask others within the group. Has anyone experienced this? Does anyone know what I can do about this? Does anyone feel like this? We've got we've got want to talk about food and recipes. Some are just our favorite food recipes. Some are targeted towards those days or those weeks that you can't think of what to cook, or you just haven't got that motivation. You haven't got the spoons, so it's just ideas. There's loads of different categories. Pets, hobbies, interests, and then there's also some voice channels, so you can have chats with people. We can do video chats like the ND drop-ins that I did on TikTok Live as well. So yeah, there's something for everyone there, and it's a really supportive community, and yeah, there's a lot of good people in there that all just want to help each other and to get support themselves.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you a lot. Yeah, you're right. A lot of people don't know what Discord is. Even the university is. When I did my degree in graphic design, the whole university has whole Discord servers for like all the graphic design students, and there'll be like different things like essays. It's amazing just having all the different feeds. Really, really cool. And a lot nicer as well because you're not exposed to the toxicity of social media. So it's kind of perfect, isn't it? Which is great. But yeah, thank you very much, everybody. Really enjoyed this. And like I said, everybody at home, I'm keen to see if this is dynamic that you like, whether we're all together. And if you like that, enjoy that, let me know. I'm just trying to make this as easy for me as a neurodivergent person to do all stuff behind the scenes. As Philippa said, there's a lot more to what you're just listening to, or like when you're a therapist. Loads of stuff has to happen. Promotion, editing, all that kind of good stuff. So let us know how you found this and how you enjoyed it being in 2 parts. So if you're half an hour journey to work, boom, perfect, which is great. Right, in our next episode, I will hopefully be back with these 3 beautiful human beings. We'll be talking about alexithymia and emotional regulation. The lesser talked about stuff. We talk about the brain. We talk about how it all functions, how the neural pathways fire, what our thoughts are up to. But we do need to talk about the emotional center of our being and our nervous system and everything that happens there. So really, really powerful show coming up. So make sure you subscribe, like, and rate the podcast. So thank you for listening, and we will see you for episode 11. Thank you to everyone listening. We really hope these podcast episodes help you. And thank you so much to all of those that send us the questions. You can do that via DMs on our social media channels, or send an email over to us at ndandfree@gmail.com. This podcast is in partnership with the following wonderful companies, services, and those who support those with neurodivergence. For neurodivergent assessments, visit boldmindsnd.com to explore Alice's services. For therapy for NDers, visit flourish-counselling.co.uk to see how Philippa can help you. To train as an ADHD coach with a fully accredited training course, visit barrettcoachingandtraining.com to find how Esther and her team can help you.